Are we going from the Southampton game, or when do you want to start? So no, it's
I think
April.
it's the
Jeez, we played a
whole.
lot.
It's the whole of April, but so we can just skim through the April games because obviously we didn't play that well. So we don't want to loiter on our bad performances or our less than good on average performances. Let's focus on what we do well. We still want to mention them because we can't ignore the context of April. Like we need to talk about that stat that he's got like a 45% win rate in April over his whole Arsenal career. So it's still a concern because in future seasons, it means that we need to do something different in April. Because in 23, 24, we are live. Oh, cool. We live.
Nice.
Welcome to Mzansi Gunner's Podcast, everybody. We were just talking and there was a bit of technical difficulties. We're going to have Andre joining us in a bit. It's just Ryan and me today, but Andre will join us in a bit. And thank you for tuning in. We have, let me just go into the comments. I'm going to have to comment on the actual, I'm going to have to comment from my phone. I'm going to have to comment. So I'll ask you something and then I'm going to just put it on mute and go on to the actual YouTube link and comment there because normally I would comment from StreamYard and it would post my comments directly onto YouTube because I'm not admin. So it's an issue. Anyway, so welcome to the podcast, guys. We haven't met for a while. I think people were just very busy with Easter and all the public holidays. And then there was our results that weren't the best in April. So I think a lot of the contributors were feeling not keen to have a fat hour and a half chat about Arsenal. So, which is understandable. And I also was quite busy. I had started 2 new jobs and a lot's been going on. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. We were commenting before that both Ryan and I are wearing classic kits. I'm wearing my Dreamcast kit that I got in 2000, my first Arsenal kit. And Ryan's got, is that a 93?
93, yeah. 93. It was a gift from my sister, so shout out Courtney.
Shout out Courtney. So that was the year we won the League Cup. The last year we won the League Cup, we wore that kit. Or it could have been 93, 94 when we won the Cup Winners' Cup. So we don't know when in 93. Was it the start or the end?
But I think the kit ran for 2 seasons actually.
Those years the kits used to not change every season. Yeah, they weren't as money driven as they are now, and now we've got 3 kits. So, but all 3 kits this year are absolutely gorgeous, and I still haven't got one. So that's if anyone is a generous friend that's watching or a generous person, it's my birthday coming up in June. I'd love a white kit. So if you're feeling generous, let me know. We actually haven't worn the white kits a lot this season because of colors. We've actually worn the blue away and the red a lot. So we've hardly seen the white, but apparently we're going to be wearing the white. I think it's versus West Ham. We might be wearing the white because they're blue and they're claret, purple and blue, and they would. So I think we're wearing it against West Ham. Ashwin,
cool to see. Yeah, it's been a while.
Ashwin, thanks for your comment. Very exciting few weeks ahead. I agree. Ashwin, just if you're available, you're very welcome to join us on the pod. So I don't know if you want to comment or you want to or join us as a panelist, but we'd love to have you, even if you want to pop in for 30 minutes. Thanks guys for everything. As I said, it's been a tough month of April. So we're going to briefly go through the results. I'm going to try and share my screen and then look at an overview of April, and then we'll go into the results that have been more exciting in the Champions League, being Sporting, where we won, and go into the semi-finals, and then go into the Fulham and Newcastle games because we played much better in those games. So I think let's focus on the positive because we've been through a real roller coaster in April and May. It's been from moments of we are 9 points ahead to we've potentially bottled it to we're back at 3 points ahead to be back at 6 points ahead. So it's been an absolute interesting month. Then it was 5 weeks since we last did the pod, or 5 or 6 weeks since we last did the pod. In speaking on that, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the last 6 weeks? Like a general overview, and how's the roller coaster been for you?
It's wow, man! It's been challenging. It started off, a kind of downtrend came after that Carabao Cup game. I actually went to the game with a few Gunners, and we were at this wonderful location. We had a fireplace. We had great scenes, and it just that just watching Semenyo tear us apart on that right hand side was devastating. And then to go and lose to City again, 2-1, which I thought was a bit of a harsh result in the end. Chucky with something unbelievable. I think we lost Bournemouth as well in April. I think the game I was most nervous about as well. I'll give you a second to return there. So can you hear me, Dan?
Just breaking up a little bit. It's like I can hear you, but I can hear 80% of what you're saying, but not 20%. So 20% is breaking up. Okay, no worries, Ashwin. If you're at the Joburg market, which Joburg market are you at? Give us a recommendation in the comments for our listeners, for which one to go to. Okay, Ryan is just leaving. He's going to come back now. Yeah, anyway, so it's been a tricky time. I think there's some difficulties with the signal, so I'm going to wait for Ryan to come back, and then I'm going to try and come back as an admin so that we can sort it out. I think I'm not logged in as an admin at the moment. But anyway, just going back to speaking on the month, what is in the comments, just tell us what is the roller coaster of April been like for you guys? What stuck out for you, the highs, the lows? Tell us in the comments so we can interact with you and also find out how it's been a roller coaster. And I think it's quite revealing in terms of just what it's like to be an Arsenal fan over the last 10 years. There's been a lot of emotional moments, some highs, some lows, but definitely fluctuating emotions. And I think that's the constant with Arsenal, is that until we get it over the line, the 22-year wait for a Premier League, or the wait for since the 1950s for a Champions League, was, people like to say that Arsenal haven't won the Champions League in 120 years, but it was only the competition only started in the 1950s. So it's just a false premise to say we haven't won it for 120 years. We've only not won it for it would be since the 1950s. So
it's impossible to have a drought longer than the tournament itself. If the competition began in 1950, the maximum time anyone could have not won it is 76 years.
Sorry, my Gemini is popping off. I don't know why. Yes, so it's been interesting. Ashwin said he's in City Deep getting great bargains. Yeah. Oh, he's at the fruits and veg market and the flower market. Back to Arsenal. So, Ash, what is your thinking about the roller coaster that we've gone through since the last month? I know you were quite vocal about how disappointed you were when we did seemingly bottled the league, and then now we're back in the driver's seat. So, what's your thoughts on that period? I'm just messaging Ryan. He's trying to get back in. Yeah, Ash, no, I agree. It has definitely been one of the craziest in the last 20 years as a Gunner. I mean, I think I could only compare it to, I think the 2006 season is a good one because we weren't really. I think there was disappointments in the league, and then we did so well in the Champions League, so then it kind of shifted our focus. I think also the 2024 season when we didn't do well in when we got knocked out by Chelsea in, I think it was the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and then we eventually became invincible. So those are the seasons I could compare it to in terms of memories and like the multiple competitions. I mean, we've gone and fought on all four fronts, and that's another thing that is really impressive about this season is the ability to fight on all four fronts. So yeah, what's your thoughts on us being able to fight on all four fronts, and do you think that's taken a toll on our squad, which a lot of people said was one of the best in Europe? Ash, what do you think on the squad, and do you think it's going to be something that we can improve on going into the market for July, August? Yeah, so let's just continue going through the fixtures. I'm just going to share my screen. So I'm just going on FOTMob to get the fixtures from Arsenal's Premier League, Champions League. Because we've already gone through the League Cup disappointment, but let's look at the fixtures. Sorry, I'm just getting it on this other screen that you guys aren't looking at. And then there we go. So that's the overview. So let me just share. Okay, so as you can see, I think we did talk about the Southampton loss, so that was disappointing. But then from the Sporting game where we did a classic 1-0 to the Arsenal in Portugal, we had the return fixture where we got 0-0. I don't know why it's showing that one. So we got the Havertz goal in the last minute, which is really quality. He's done well as he's come back from injury. Then we had the very unfortunate Bournemouth loss where we just really didn't show up, and then the Man City loss where we also didn't show up. So let's talk a bit about the Man City game from a disappointment side. We had O'Reilly just having another blinder of a game as he had in the EFL Cup final. Turkey was just unbelievable, and so was Haaland. So they really broke our hearts. Oh, Ryan's back.
Yes, sir. Hi.
So, Ryan, I'm just going through April fixtures. So I've already looked at Sporting and just spoken about Havertz coming back from injury and how well he did. And now we're looking at the Man City game and how good O'Reilly was, and Turkey and Haaland, and how them having a balanced team is something that is tricky for us. So what I wanted to ask you to do is, can you potentially get the fixtures from April on your screen? Because I'm going to have to log out and log back in as an admin, and then you can just talk a bit about the City and Bournemouth disappointments a little bit, and then briefly talk about the better game that we played against Newcastle, and then I'll come and join and talk about the. Sorry, let me just go back to the fixtures here. So if you can just go on FOTMob and then I'll stop sharing my screen and you can share your screen. So we have so it was the Man City disappointment, and then we went and beat Newcastle. And I think on that same day, City didn't play. Is that correct? Because they were playing the FA Cup game. Is that correct, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's correct.
So it allowed us to go back 3 points
Yeah,
ahead.
I do think that is correct.
Yeah, so it was the fixtures, and a bit of luck has also been good because City have progressed in the FA Cup where we were knocked out. We were able to play Newcastle and then go 3 points ahead. And City only beat Burnley 1-0. So that was another key fixture for us, because when we saw that they only beat Burnley 1-0, I think a lot of Gunners started to have some hope. Even though we were very downcast after the Bournemouth and City losses, I think the fact that City didn't end up thrashing Burnley, means that they opened a door for us. Then we opened the door a bit further by beating Newcastle 1-0. And Newcastle is a bogey team for us. Last season, they beat us 3 times, I think, or even 4 times. They beat us twice in the League Cup semi-finals and then in the league. And then I think we might have drawn or lost or beat them in the I think it was like 3 out of the 4. I can't remember exactly, but Eddie Howe definitely has had Mikel Arteta's number. I've spoken quite a lot. So what are your thoughts on these 4 fixtures and kind of the roller coaster we went through, where even 5 fixtures, we beat Sporting. We didn't have a very convincing performance. Then we lost to Bournemouth. Then we drew with Sporting, another not convincing performance, but at least we through to the Champions League semi-finals. Then we lose to Man City, and then we beat Newcastle. So the hope started to build, I'd say, from the 2 Champions League games where we've been unbeaten this season into the Newcastle game where we then got our form back a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Bournemouth game, the biggest frustration was that it was a home game. It's tricky to go to Bournemouth because it can be quite chilly around that area. I think they've got water right near the stadium, and it's like one of those compact little grounds where it can be difficult. For us to lose at home it was disappointing, but we always knew that it was going to be a tough game. I think at this stage, they've only lost 7 games the whole season, which is unbelievable. Lots of draws, obviously, but they're a very difficult team to play. Iraola is doing a great job. The fact that he's potentially going to Palace seems crazy to me, but I mean, cool to coach a team at Selhurst Park, I would imagine. So I can see the appeal. But that was always going to be a difficult game. But I was confident that we would, at the very least, get a draw at home. And from that moment, it really did start to look like we were in a bit of trouble, to be honest. As soon as we obviously great run in the Champions League, we played more fluid football. Then Sporting was a bit trickier than we expected it to be. They were on a great run. I think it was like 13 games or something unbeaten. So they also had good momentum. But I think a few of us thought we might put a few away against them, which we didn't. And then the City game. The City game was devastating because we actually just needed a draw. That's all we needed. And aside from Cherki's brilliance and a few great moments from City, I didn't think they dominated us. I thought we played well. I thought it was the first time we had looked good in a while. We came in with a lot of energy. We were attacking. We were really having a go of it. We didn't go in and just park the bus like everyone expected, which was great to see. So that was encouraging, but it was devastating as well, because it almost felt like we had found our belief again, but it was too late now because we had lost to City. Follow that up with a nice draw for City, and it shows how quickly things can change in this title race. So that was an important game for us. Eddie Howe, you mentioned earlier, he has had our number, and it's that physical game that Newcastle play. Bruno Guimaraes, bullying guys. They just play this really physical, disruptive style of football. It's almost like, I've said it before, it's almost like Eddie Howe's team is a championship team with really good players. It's like he set up this team that should be in the top 4 in the championship, but he's thrown just monster players in his team, and he damages a lot of Premier League teams because I think it throws them off. There's always a lot of energy against Newcastle, and it's always a difficult game for us. Newcastle aren't quite where they used to be. I think they're 13th or 14th, maybe even lower now. I'm not sure where they are in the league right now. So you would expect us to beat them, but that was a huge moment, I think. I think that was a bigger moment than we remember. Than we give it credit for, because I think that also was a moment of belief for the players to have got that bogey team out of the way. And we've done it a few times this season with bogey teams, unfortunately not Bournemouth. So I think that brought a lot of hope back. And then Atletico, what a really cool 2 legs. I know a lot of people have said it was boring. I didn't find those games boring at all, to be honest. I think the first one was a bit dirty and a bit messy, and the kind of game that you kind of want, really, to be fair, if you're going to the Metropolitano and playing in front of those fans in that environment. With toilet paper being thrown all over the field, I think it's a tricky place to go. And to get a point there was fine. I think that's all we needed to do. The second game was complex. It was like a game of chess. I think it was 2 masters at each other. And call it handball, call it what you want. It was a beautiful game. I thought that was an exceptional game of football, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know a lot of opposition fans have complained and said it was boring, but I would imagine actually as a neutral that would be quite a fun game to watch, just because you can see the tactical battle that was going on there. That's juxtaposed to the chaos of PSG and Bayern. Which is something we can talk about just now, because I have my own opinions about PSG. I think they're an exceptional team. I think they probably are the best team in the world right now, just in terms of their confidence and the way they're playing. But I do think we have a chance. I really do think we have a chance against them. But yeah, April up. It was a difficult month. It always is a difficult month. Arteta, as you mentioned earlier, historically doesn't have a very good record in April. I would argue that maybe we are peaking at the right time now, actually. City are under pressure. We've really upped our game. Bukayo Saka is back at his best. He's obviously recovered from his Achilles injury, so that's exciting. We've got Calafiori back, which is exciting. And even if he doesn't start, even if Nkapie starts, it's that energy that he brings to the team. There's the confidence knowing that we've got a strong squad and bench that we can utilize. I think we're in a good position now. I feel confident now that we can go and finish this off. I really do.
So would you say you're more confident for the league? What's your levels? Like, I did a percentage on one of the groups. I can't remember, one on the WhatsApp groups. I said, I think I think after the Newcastle game, I actually had lifted it. I think before I was like 20% confident for the league after we had bottled the position that we were in. We were 9 points ahead. And then I think after the Newcastle game, I felt 30% confidence. And now I'd say I'm at a 45% confidence for the league. And I've always been around 60. I'd say now, seeing PSG's play and realizing how little they've played this season, my confidence has dropped slightly in the Champions League to about 50%. So I'm like 50% confident of us winning and we're in the final. So it's pretty level for me. I was always more confident about the Champions League just because of the way we performed last season and this season. So it's interesting how, I'm quite a cautious person by nature, so I'm not as optimistic and faithful as other fans are, and that's fine. Everyone's got their different way of approaching things. So what would you say is your confidence levels for each tournament?
I have an appetite for risk, so I'm very confident. Maybe I'm a bit naive in that respect. In Champions League, I would say between 50 and 60. The league, I'm at 80. I think we've got the league. I really do. I look at our fixtures. West Ham's going to be tricky. You've got Chris Kavanagh reffing a game against a team who's fighting relegation, and you've got Nuno, who's changed the whole dynamic of that team and created more discipline and more structure. So it's going to be a very difficult game, but I think we can get a win there. And then I do think if we beat West Ham, I think we'll win the league. And I do think that is because City will drop points against Bournemouth. I think that's our chance. A lot of people think they'll draw against Brentford, but I think they're going to surprise everyone and go and smash them like 3-1 or something, and just to add a bit more pressure on us. But I'm confident in the league. I think we've got the league done. The Champions League, I was more confident before watching PSG against Bayern. PSG struggled a bit in the group stages, so I thought maybe there was a bit of a dip in form. And, sometimes when a team like PSG is playing against weaker opposition in Ligue 1, they tend to kind of drop in terms of their standard of football. That has not happened. They were so good against Bayern. And it was the first game was chaos, and you could see it was a back and forth, some defensive errors, some penalty decisions, some wild, crazy, brilliant goals. But it just seemed a bit more like a ping pong match. Whereas the second game, PSG just took absolute control. The way they dominated every part of that field was impressive, and it's quite intimidating. It's quite concerning, actually. I think
that's where I wanted Bayern. If we had Bayern in the final, I'd be like 80% confident around the Champions League, because they're more leaky in defense, and we've already beaten them this season. Whereas PSG beat us twice last season, so I think that's in the back of my mind. They're the champions. They've got Luis Enrique, who's a great coach, and then they've rested most of their players in the league this season, because Dembele has only played 900 league minutes, and I think Luis Skelly and Calafiori have played more league minutes than Dembele.
Sure, that's crazy. Yeah, I did see Marino's even. Yeah, he's also played more than Dembele. Sure, I didn't know Luis Skelly. That's crazy. The thing with PSG,
not Luis Kelly, it's Calafiori and Marino. Those are the two. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, that's unreal though, because we've really missed Marino and Calafiori. The thing with PSG is that Bayern play great football, but they play football that is not necessarily predictable, but you can defend against it. PSG's game is bizarre. It's unlike anything else. What they did so well, I remember last year, they switched Dembele over and they kept moving the wings to eat the opposite side, which kind of threw us off. And they found a way to counter our fullback play as well, which was quite concerning. So it seems like Luis Enrique doesn't just come up with a strategy for the season and formation and tactics that he'll use for 90% of the games. He really does seem to adapt per game, and it's really difficult to figure out what he's going to do.
Per game or per period. So if there's a period where PSG would play against a profile of teams. So Bayern, I think when they played Chelsea, they're both attacking highline teams, so he was able to play very expansively against them. I think he'll play very differently against Arsenal. It won't be a high-scoring game. It'll be a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1 penalties game. So it's going to be under 3 goals in total game. But anyway, we're looking forward now. We're meant to be looking back. Let's go back to the Newcastle game, and can you just put from Newcastle game forwards on your screen? Just share your screen and go into FOTMob and just look for Newcastle, Atletico, Fulham, and Atletico. So we can review those. Anyway, so I'll just talk about Newcastle a bit more. Is that obviously they did have some injuries. I think Joe Linton was out, and was it also Gordon was out? I think Gordon was also out. So we basically had them a little bit weaker, and then they have been not playing at their best in the last second half of the season. Voltemader's dropped off, even though he had a nice moment where he clipped a chip pass over, I think it was to Wisser. So he even has nice moments, but overall his form has dropped off, whereas Gyökeres's form, so in the beginning part of the season, Voltemade and Ekitike were playing better than Gyökeres, but now Gyökeres has actually done very well in the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 games for Arsenal. I mean, we'll talk about his game again. I think it was against Fulham. Yeah, I think it was against Fulham where Gyökeres had an amazing game, and then against Atletico, he also had a good game. So I'm very happy that he's playing better, because I was worried about his contribution, and I was actually glad that Havertz was getting some game time, because Havertz was playing well, even though I don't rate either of them very highly. So that would be something, there's been talk about us potentially getting Alvarez, or getting Kvaratskhelia or Junior Krupi. So there's a lot of forward names that have been bandied about for Arsenal, because we realize that our attack and our forward line, I'd say our attack, Saka's now woken up in the last 4 games, and then Eze has been better in the second half of the season, and Gyökeres has been better in the second half of the season. But I would say the rest of the attack has dropped off. Martinelli, Trossard have dropped off. Odegaard has been injured, so he hasn't really played much. And then there's also been Noni hasn't been playing well lately. So we've just been too inconsistent in attack, and we've also not scored as much from set pieces in the last few months, which is also something that has kind of shown we were over-reliant on set pieces. Ryan, have you got that, FOTMOB? Do you know how to share?
Can you see my screen? Yeah, I'm sharing it, but I don't know if it's actually coming up there. Is it?
I can't see your screen. So what you need to do is you share, then you click on a window. There's different options. You can either click on a window, or you can click on your whole screen being shared. If you click on your whole screen being shared, you need to quickly reduce the stream on StreamYard, because otherwise it's going to double up and show like a mirror of a mirror, and then it gets all confused. So you'd have to quickly, if you're going to share your whole screen, as in everything, like if you reduce, it'll share your icons on your laptop. Then you need to quickly reduce StreamYard so that it doesn't spaz out, and then do open up a link, and then it'll share the FOTMOB pictures.
I can if I share this tab, I don't know if you'll actually see it.
Try share the tab. Yeah, try share the tab. Are you sharing it?
Can you see anything there? No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. I think let's just continue like this. So what I'll do is I'll bring it up again on my side.
Let us do it. I'll do it this way. I'll share the window and then see if I can just flick over to.
Yeah, try share the window, then just quickly reduce and see if that works.
Alrighty.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Can you see anything now? There.
No, I can't see it. That's okay. Let me just do it.
No.
So what we'll do is, if you could just message Ash,
I think you're gonna have to share.
Yeah, if you could just message Ash, and I've told them to contact Keishan about being added. So Keishan, unfortunately, is now admin for today's pod, even though he's out and about. So he's going to be having to log in every now and again and let Ash and Andre back on. So today we've got a more Cape Town flavor. If Andre joins,
can you hear me? You broke up there.
I can hear you, but you froze. But now you're back. Just hold up how many.
Nice, perfect.
Hold up her fingers of how many. What's the word? What's something that we can banter someone with? How many EPL or league trophies has Spurs won? Do you know the number? Hold fingers up of how many they've won.
Oh no! Wait! One. Have they won one? They won a Premier League title, right, or not?
2. It's 2. They won in the 70s or in the 60s, I think.
Man. Okay. Yeah. I don't know anything about Spurs. I just know that
it's a very low number, because what's his name? Spurs have only won 2 leagues, but Everton have won 9. Aston Villa have won 7. Chelsea and Sunderland have won 6. So when Chelsea told me they're a bigger team than Arsenal, I'm like, I don't come chat with us. We've won 13 leagues. You've only won 6, and 5 of yours came since 2005.
Smaller
So
team than Villa, yeah, because Villa have also won a European Cup, right?
Yeah, no. I would say they're a little bit bigger than Villa, but I would say because of Chelsea's 2 Champions Leagues and their Europa Leagues, they're bigger than Villa. But they're not that much bigger than Villa. So I always told them that Villa and Everton and Sunderland are their ops, and then that triggers them. So it's quite fun.
It's fun to trigger Chelsea fans, especially right now because they're in such a bad place. So
they're
upset.
in a terrible place.
Oh man, great.
I mean, it serves them right for wanting to lose to City in that game where they lost to City in the league. So good, they deserve it. The same way Spurs deserve relegation because of the way Son didn't score that goal and the way they were celebrating City's win against them when they could have made Champions League. It's the same energy that Chelsea fans and Chelsea as a club are kind of like showing now in this season.
Absolutely. That paired with Enzo pointing at the FIFA badge as well. Also, that was a trigger point for me, and it was a nice celebration for me as well when they lost in the end. Fantastic. The thing is, with Chelsea fans, you can at least banter a little bit. Spurs fans get so emotional, and they've got no real rebuttal, or no response. So there's nothing that they can really argue.
I actually know a Spurs fan who's really nice. Like he takes banter, and I actually know 2 of them. And then there's one guy that I met through a banter group who's absolutely delulu. He thinks Van der Ven and Ramiro are world class. He thinks what else did he say? He said they're world class, and then he said something like last season he said Vicario was world class. So he's totally delulu.
Oh yeah, no, wow, no, that's way off there, sir. Shame.
Anyway, we're
That's
talking about rivals. Let's go back to Arsenal. So going back, I'm going to just get the results, but now we've had the Newcastle game where we've won 1-0, which was a great relief. Then we went to, was it Atletico Madrid after that? I'll get it now, but I think it was.
I think it was Atletico straight after it, yeah, it was.
The 1-1 draw at their stadium. So it was a very technical and tactical game, and then the day before we'd seen Bayern and PSG absolutely tear it up with attacking prowess, but then as many people, I think Spoo and some other people on some of the WhatsApp groups were saying it was a very undisciplined. People said that our game was haram football and theirs was halal, but their their attack was halal, but their defense, both teams' defense was haram. So, and we might have a slightly dodgier attack, and Atletico too, but we defend really well. And I think Alex Ferguson said it, that scoring goals and attack wins you games, but defense wins you titles. And I think that's where I'm confident that we're going to win one of the 2. I know that we will win one trophy, and I actually am fascinated. I know this is slightly controversial, but even if we don't win the league, I'm fascinated to see how we respond and then actually go and win the Champions League. I actually feel like some fans were saying that it's more important that we win the league because they don't think we'll be able to mentally get over the hump of losing the league and then go and win the Champions League final. I have a feeling we can either win the league, but then we're going to kind of celebrate too much and we probably won't win the Champions League. I think it'll be like, at least we've won something, and it'll be like this relief and we won't fully push for the Champions League. Or we don't win the league and then we go and win the Champions League and break that 70-year hoodoo. So, yeah, I know I'm in the minority because I know a lot of Arsenal fans basically feel more confident for the league and feel less confident for the Champions League, or other people feel confident for both, which is fine. I respect that as a viewpoint. Like, I know there's a lot of serious Gunners who truly believe we can do the double, which would be amazing. And yeah, thanks, Leon. Smash the like and then the share. Yeah, so also just put on that notification bell so that you can get notifications when we go live, so that you can get it on your pop-ups on your app, on your phone, the little window that pops up. But yeah, there's still Andre and Ash that might be joining us, so we'll continue chatting. But going back to the Atletico game, can you talk about that? Because I know you like tactical chess matches. So what was your thoughts on the first leg? I'm going to try and get the details on here.
Okay. Look, just quickly expanding on what you were saying there about the league or the Champions League. I agree that if we win the league, then that momentum can carry us into potentially winning a double. I think the issue as well is if we win the Champions League and not the league, then next season we've got to deal with the fact that we didn't win the league when we had 4 chances to potentially win the league. So I that's why the league would be bigger for me. I think it would just be, we get that out of the way, like a monkey on the shoulder, get rid of it. And then move forward, and then try and compete in the Champions League for the next few seasons as well. But anyways, on the actual Champions League, I think what's interesting and what's frustrating about the Champions League.
Before you go on, can you see the game, the Atletico Arsenal game, on the screen?
No, I can't. Yeah, I don't know why the sharing doesn't seem to be working very well. I can't see anything.
Okay, I'm gonna minimize this and see if I go back to it. Will it show? Just tell me.
Do you think
if
it's
you
an
see
administrator thing?
Can you see it now?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, I think it's an admin thing. So I'm gonna try and I'm gonna actually log out and see if I can log in as an admin. Can you continue chatting about Atletico and Fulham?
Fantastic. I will do indeed. I'll see you shortly.
Do you know?
It's such an interesting one. If you look at those 2 legs. I stand to be corrected, but I think in the league phase, we actually scored more goals than PSG and Bayern. And then in one game of football, the entire footballing world decided that we don't stand a chance because PSG and Bayern were scoring goals for free, and we were in this big tactical battle with one of the best defensive coaches of all time, right? So it was a fascinating observation for me to see the way the media discussed it, to see the way fans reacted to it. But in truth, what happened was we went to one of the trickiest stadiums in the world, in another country, in a semi-final of a major tournament with a young squad, and we played against a tactician. And the evidence of that was in the different setups that he had in both halves. And that blew me away, man. That absolutely blew me away how disciplined they were in changing their entire structure in the second half of the first leg of that game. It was like watching a different team. As soon as they would like shift between 5 at the back to like a weird almost 4-4-2 in the way in which players were moving across. And I think we held our own. I don't think it was the prettiest game you've ever seen. I think we've created a monster in bringing Lewis Skelly in at this stage. I think he's going to help us win the league, and I do think he's going to help us at least challenge in the Champions League final because he adds another dimension to the game. I think Zubimendi is one of the most unappreciated players in our team because a lot of what he does isn't seen. A lot of it is behind the scenes. It's quiet. It's interceptions. It's being in the right place at the right time. It's build-up play. It's quick passes. It's headers. He has this ability to get to the ball. So I think he's been unbelievable for half, maybe 70% actually of the season. Kind of dropped off a little bit. What we needed was an enforcer to come in and do what MLS has done. And I think that's what's going to carry us through. The second leg of that game, very different. I actually thought we should have scored a few more goals, to be honest. I think Gyökeres was incredible in his hold-up play. I think we came in with an attacking mindset, and I think we came in with the confidence to bully Atletico a little bit. What was fascinating was listening to Andy Townsend pointing out our errors and ignoring the fact that there was a period for about 20 minutes where Atletico couldn't put a pass together in the first half. And that carried through into the second half as well. Again, Simeone did a great job of changing things up. He's actually I've developed immense respect for him because of the way he can change his tactics mid game and how disciplined that team is. That back line, that defensive line of 5 at the back was impenetrable at a stage. We were finding gaps and we had to take it slow. We really, really had to find our opportunities and not rush it, because there were little pockets, because they had a zone and we were getting into little space zone. But the way they move as a unit is incredible. The way they shadow the ball, the way the players were moving to protect each other if someone else had pushed forward or pushed to the side. Incredible discipline that we can learn from. So I think if you watch that game as a neutral and you appreciate the tactics of football, you would have loved that game, because I think it was a masterclass from both managers. I think ironically, I think we played better over the 2 legs, but I think tactically Simeone won that battle a little bit. I thought it was genius what he did. The Fulham game, unfortunately, I couldn't watch the Fulham game because I was at a birthday and I had to cook, which was fun. It was fun, but I was missing a game that I was so excited to watch. I remember Smith Rowe back in action.
The 40th.
Yes, the 40th. Yeah, cooked some Greek food. Yeah.
Sorry, it's
okay. Yeah, so I was cooking spanakopita while you guys were enjoying Arsenal beat Fulham. But from what I've heard and what I found so intriguing was, and genius, I think, from Arteta. Everyone was complaining MLS is at left back and he should be a holding midfielder. We need him as defensive mid, and then he goes and plays him as an 8, basically. Well, just in front of Rice and kind of surprises everyone, which is typical Arteta fashion. And it worked. It worked so well. I can't get my head around the composure that this kid has. It's incredible, man. It's like you bring in Zubimendi, who's one of the best in the world at what he does, and MLS made it look easier, to be honest. I know they weren't in the same position and playing the exact same role, but wow, for a player of that age to come in, and I don't think he made a mistake. I don't think I've seen him make a mistake for the past 3 games, which is incredible. So, yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think we've potentially peaked at the right time now. I think we've got our momentum back, and I think we're going to win the next 3 games, and I think we'll win the title. And then we'll go to the Champions League, and I really think it's 50-50. I do. I think if we win this league title, will have the momentum to carry us forward, and we are going to be so difficult to beat because there's going to be fire, as Arteta would like to say. We will be on fire, and we really will play
Can we talk
intense game of football.
Can we talk about that on fire moment? Because I found it. Yes, Andre. Yes, Andre. Let me get his thoughts as well. Welcome, Andre.
Hey guys.
Andre, how you doing, man?
He's wearing
that. Complain, man.
He's wearing that iconic blue shirt to show us nicely.
No, it's important.
Oh, is it the black
nice.
one?
I want
the black one.
I
thought it's the fan favorite.
Yeah, that black one I have. I actually can't find it, but it's. I think I left it in Joburg with a friend when I was there, so I need to get it from that friend.
You should check on the Adidas store for it, man. Like it's not selling out as fast anymore. I think it's the away jersey,
I think I left it when I was in Joburg, but anyway, I know where it is. But that's another thing is who's Robin says, Andre, straight 80 Balvel site.
I'm a South guy.
Who's Robin George? Andre, is he one of your friends?
My sister's boyfriend.
Cool.
Nice.
Hi, Robin. We gotta. You must give us some. What's it? Inner stories about Andre, but that'll be another whole discussion. But looking at,
he actually. He helped me to this. He said the next time I'm on the podcast, I need to let everybody know that he's looking forward to see his captain's armpits when he lifts the trophies.
Nice. So Andre, before you came on, we were talking about the roller coaster of April and May and how we almost bottled the title. And then because we did well in the Champions League and we had something else to focus on, and because City played Burnley and didn't thrash them and only beat them 1-0, it gave us some breathing room. And then City Sorry, no. Then we played before City, and playing before City because City had the FA Cup game put pressure on City when we beat Newcastle. So we had some luck kind of fall in our favor in that we were knocked out of the FA Cup. Then we had to play a Premier League game and then they were playing an FA Cup game, which also meant that they're a little bit tired for other games. And then we're going to go back to the Fulham. Now we're on the Fulham game and looking at that. And you need to tell how it went for you, because Ryan, unfortunately, was at a 40th and was busy making Greek food, so he missed it. So we need your expertise on the Fulham game. But, I mean, I think...
Yeah.
Before we talk about the Fulham game, one thing I just wanted to address...
For me...
Before we talk about the Fulham game, sorry, I'm just giving you a lot of context of what we've been speaking about, I was really confused about Arteta's fire comments, because he said I'm on fire, and then we didn't play like we were on fire for 2 games or 3 games, and then it came out, and then it came against Fulham. So I was very confused. I just felt like it was a weird moment from him, and then he did bring the fire by starting MLS against Fulham. So let's talk about Fulham, because then we finally were on fire because we scored 3 goals in the first half and played amazingly. And Ryan is crying because he missed that game. So yeah, now talk about the Fulham game. Sorry, I've said a lot, Andre, but just tell us about the Fulham game from your perspective.
Look, I actually think, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, it's crazy the way our season has gone. Over the last couple of seasons, we've always been like in 3rd, 4th, and 5th gear. And it's crazy to think that we are now at the last 4 or 5 games of the season, and we're finally getting out of 2nd gear. And I think there's a real fear now by most opposition. I can actually see it with opposing fans. They are genuinely scared that we might win the Premier League and the Champions League. Fulham is like really the first game where we could all like agree and say it's the first game where we played and we at will went into 3rd, 4th, and 5th gear, and we just played them off the park. And at the second half, they were at our mercy. We literally just decided, are we going to rest players? Are we going to push for a little bit more goals? And I can honestly say, I think you already know, Dayne, I'm big on Gyökeres, and this is one of the first or maybe the second game where we're playing to his strengths, because his back is always against goal whole season. And now that he's getting a little bit of forward momentum, you can see he's unlocking the wingers. The midfielders have the ability to get into dangerous positions, and we're hurting the opposition. And I think the best thing Arteta could have done was actually take out MLS out of the left back, move him into the midfield, and actually also impress on Zubimendi that your position isn't settled or as secured as you thought it was. And he has a 19-year-old boy adding extra strength, extra energy, and he's got that dogged tenacity to actually just say, you know what, Rice, you can move around freely. I will hold it down, and I will be the aggressor in the situation.
Well, I think that's the thing, is it's allowed Rice to play deeper, which is also less running for him. I mean, centre mid, you've got to have legs. There's much more running. I know there's running in defensive mid as well, but it allows Rice to just have a bit of a breather, because in centre mid, he's also expected to contribute goals and contribute driving runs more than in defensive mid, where you've got to protect the back 4 and do a little bit of attacking. So I think it's nice because it's allowed Zubimendi to rest. It's allowed Rice to have a different role, because he's also, remember, most of his career he's been a defensive mid. So only from 23, 24, when Havertz wasn't working at centre mid, we moved Rice to centre mid, and we had Partey that was more fit and available. Was Rice then not playing defensive mid? Because his whole career at West Ham he played defensive mid. So it's Rice's more natural position, even though he can play both, and I would still play him both. I would play Rice at defensive mid when MLS, it's in a game that we need to play MLS at centre mid. And then I would play Rice or MLS at centre mid when it's a game that Zubimendi suits. Because I also heard a stat, watching a keep or sell video from Joe Tomlinson, who's a Man United fan, but he's a very balanced Man United fan. He used to be on Sky. He's sometimes still on Sky, but anyway, he was doing a keep or sell, and he was saying Zubimendi played 2,400 minutes in all competitions for Sociedad in the previous season, and this season he's already played 3,400 minutes in all competitions for Arsenal. So he's played nearly 1,000 more minutes, and then the season is still not finished. So we've really overplayed Zubimendi, and I think he's just not used to playing. But Sociedad didn't play Champions League. So the Champions League, Premier League, and all 4 competitions. We're in 4 competitions in Europe, and in Spain and the rest of Europe only has 3. So I think there's something has to be done also about the League Cup. Like either the Premier League teams either must come in from only maybe the 4th round or the quarters, and only like the top Premier League teams, or the other, there should be a bit of seeding thing. Like if you're a Champions League playing team, you should only come in from the last 16 or the 4th round, not from the 3rd round. But that's another whole discussion on overplaying teams, and that then at least Man Uniteds of the world can play more than 40 games, because sorry, I have to throw in a jab there to Man United.
That's crazy.
Yeah, going back to the game.
It's too much football. It's too much football, to be honest with you.
Too much
I think
football.
tomorrow we'll be playing our 60th game tomorrow. We're the first team in Europe to play 60 games a season.
I think we just
It's too
played
much.
I think we just played our 60th, and we're gonna play our 61st. I might be wrong, but it could be.
It's too much football. And then the World Cup is in a month, and guys are going to get non-contact injuries before the World Cup even starts. Some of the stars are already in question. Yamal is not going to make it. It's problematic, to say the least.
And the
But
World Cup is
half one. I'm happy.
48 teams.
We're not
And the
playing
World
in the
Cup is-
Carabao Cup anymore.
And now the World Cup is 48 teams, and it used to be
Too
32.
much football.
I think the league is only starting at the end of August. It normally starts mid-August. So the preseason is starting the beginning of August. We've got a game against, I see it's already loaded on FOTMOB. It's like Rayo Vallecano or Real Betis or something.
Yeah. But most of our players are not going to be back even when the World Cup ends. Arteta's going to have to give some of the players extended holiday, and they'll be coming back the week before the season starts. It's not really even a rest period. I think if we look at Saka last season, or for the last 5 seasons, like his average holiday that he has in the off season is about 3 weeks. And you need, at least as a professional athlete, at least 5 to 6 weeks to fully recover for your body to be settled for the next season. So I think that's also where my gripe is, because we're playing too much football. And I understand that it's a massive revenue driver, but it's too much football. As a fan, we love it. We get to see our team 2-3 times a week. But as watching our players get injured so consistently, I think we had like 72 injuries across minor and serious injuries this season alone. That for me is problematic, because even if you have a squad with very good squad depth, you're still going to have an issue in the running.
Yeah,
I agree
And-
100%. Especially someone like Rice
go for
after
it,
the
Ryan.
World Cup
Sorry.
is going to need a long break.
Ryan, go for it. Sorry, I was interrupting you.
No, I was just an agreement. I think if you consider how much Rice has played and the fact that he's probably going to feature throughout for England, and he'll play a big role for them, he's going to need a long break. 3 weeks is not close to enough for someone like him.
Anyway, so let's go back to the Fulham game. So talking about MLS, is the other thing about him is he's press resistant, and he is a driving force. The other thing, he's fresh. So that's the other thing about MLS, is that he hasn't played much this season, and before he was playing at, I think he's also excited. So he's motivated because it's a position that he played in the youth ranks. He's fresh, and he's got the technical ability and the Premier League experience to step up. So it just it ticks so many boxes for someone making impact in the game, and then doing it 2 games in a row. So going to West Ham tomorrow. Now we're previewing. I know we've done a lot of reviewing. I'm quickly jumping to previewing. Who would you start against West Ham tomorrow? Would you continue with the MLS Rice midfield, or would you now, because MLS might have overexerted himself, give him a slight break and bring a Rice Zubimendi back in? What's your thoughts, Andre and Ryan? Go for it,
For me,
Andre.
he has to start. It's a non-starter for me. MLS has to start. The balance in the midfield, like, I don't know. For me personally, I watched the Fulham game. MLS has the ability to ride a tackle, beat his man, and still execute the one pass. I think it was like an over half a dozen opportunities where he rode the tackle, beat the press, and one pass bypassed the entire midfield in Fulham, and they were scrambling. That is, for me, real ability. I think last season we had it in Thomas Partey where Partey could ride a tackle, but his most important asset was it didn't matter if there were two midfielders in front of him. He had the quality to beat both those guys with with a precise pass, and the midfield was exposed. So we have that in MLS now. West Ham is actually in a position where they're actually desperate right now because they're trying to avoid the relegation. So they're already going in with the mentality that they go and sit back tomorrow night. And I think our biggest draw pull for this game would be having a midfielder that can bypass the press. And then we have Rice that's a little bit more free to advance up the pitch to add that little extra bit of quality. And we're going to need it because irrespective of us having the potential 2-point buffer at the end of the season, I think now is accumulating a strong goal difference that if anything were to happen on our end, we still secure the title on goal difference.
No, that's true, bro. I think it's going to go to the last day. So I have made plans to go either watch with you guys. You must let us know what's the leadership thinking about Miakasa, Algar, or Ronaldo's place. So just you can do a little shout out to say that the Gunners in Kells River are planning something. And then there's also the Arsenal Supporters Club in Cape Town at Barnes. So I'm going to probably go there for the Champions League final, but I want to watch the last ever Premier
It'll
League.
definitely be big on our end. I'll keep you posted on that. I think we're going to be involving Gunners from Somerset West and the Gunners branch in Atlantis as well.
Okay, great. So we'll have a group of us doing something on the 24th and the 30th. And then I know that Joburg, just a quick shout out to Joburg Fourways Hooters is going to be having all the last 4 games showing. They open up late also for the Champions League games, but I know that the Champions League, I think it's at 6 p.m. on the 30th. So that'll be happening. And then in Durban, there's the Mshlanga Hooters, which is going to be having games. There's also a supporters club in PE, which has got a dedicated spot. So just comment if there's anything else that I've missed. I know the Bloom guys, Evander and the Bloom guys are also getting together for the last 4 games. So there's things happening all over South Africa, and we've got to just support these watch-alongs because it's really nice. I mean, I've been involved with Brazenhead from the Brazenhead days in Joburg. I've watched games with small groups of supporters and large groups of supporters. I've watched with Charles and the guys who meet all over in the central areas of Johannesburg with Ryan as well. So it's really fun to watch, especially when there's something on the line. I think there was something in the 23-24 season in the east of Joburg where I watched with a group of guys. So there's a lot of exciting moments as a fan when you get together with other fans and there's something on the line. And when you win, you really celebrate. I mean, I've just watched Big Six games at supporters clubs and really loved them, or when we thrash a bottom of the table team. Those are good moments, but those are just wins. Those are just fun celebrating wins and doing the chants and stuff. But when you actually have something on the line, like historically, like we've never won the Champions League and we haven't won the Premier League in 22 years, we are going to, like at Brazenhead, when we won the FA Cup against Hull, or I can't remember if it was the Hull game or the other games, because we won 2 or 3 FA Cups in a row. The one game, there was 1,000 people at Brazenhead in Fourways. So that is a massive jewel, and that's just an FA Cup. Like, can you imagine what is going to happen when we win one of the Champions League or the Premier League? Like the internet is going to break, and the supporters clubs are going to explode in Joburg, Cape Town, Durban, Bloem, PE. It's just so exciting. So Ashwin is just commenting here, double. He is now feeling the double. So let's go with Ashwin. Ashwin's one of our podcasts.
It's all caps. He's serious. It's all caps. It's serious right now.
He's serious. And Ashwin is also been on I know that I've been chatting with him on the groups and on personal chats. He's been in a roller coaster because he was very upset when we, lost to Bournemouth and then City beat us. but now he's feeling very confident. So thank you, Ashwin, for your confidence, and we appreciate it. We appreciate your adminning. He also admins on the Facebook group for Arsenal Supporters of South Africa, the Facebook group. So thank you for your adminning there. We appreciate you, bro. And then Eugene says, what does Eugene say? Sunday the 31st, League and Champions League parade. No, we're not going to do it then. That's when London is having the parade. I was thinking that if we do one in Joburg, we could potentially do one on the 13th, Saturday the 13th of June. So it gives time for people to save up, because it's I think it's around 300 Rand for a party bus. And I know Cape Town is have one before that, so I'll speak to the guys at Bounce. They might have one on maybe the 5th or 6th of June. You must also speak to me, Andre, about doing one for Kells River, guys. If you guys want to do one. So that's something I can message. I'll WhatsApp on the group. Anyway, it's exciting. Eugene is very invested in our potential party bus. I know he's been talking to me a few times about it. So, yeah, I think we won't do it on the same. We won't do it on the same day as.
Definitely need it.
I'm actually a bit worried though, because if they're having it on the 31st in London and the final is in Budapest on the 30th, that means those fans have to rush back to England after their drunk celebrations if we win the Champions League in Budapest. So I'm like stressing for those 19,000. Do you see they only allocated 19,000 seats to us, or 17,000 seats to us?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
It's shocking.
The players will just do a Grealish and continue the party and pass out after like the first hour. Yeah.
Do a Jack Wilshere on the day.
Yes. Oh man, Jack Wilshere was fantastic.
I think if we win the Champions League, shit. What do you think of shit?
It was fantastic.
Tottenham.
Spurs.
Anyway,
Tottenham. That was fantastic. Yeah.
But going back to the
I need to apologize. I need to hop off quickly.
no worries.
Something's come up, but shot for having me.
It's always great to
And
have you
the
on.
Gunners tomorrow. We're winning again.
Sir. Yes,
Cheers,
bro.
guys.
Peace, bro.
Cheers, man.
So just to mention, sorry, on the thing is, because the potential parade will be on the Sunday. So if we win the Champions League or the Premier League, then we're going to have the 30th is the final of the Champions League at night. Then the parade would be on the Sunday in the day. I think London is not going to be functional on the 1st of June, which is the Monday. A lot of people will
not at all.
Like businesses, the economy of England is going to slow down, because London is the center of finances for Europe. Never mind. I don't know if you know that. I think, have you stayed in London? Was it only Thailand that you stayed in?
No, I was in London for 3 weeks, just on holiday with a mate who lived there. Yeah. But yeah, with the Arsenal's going to shut down the European economy. That's fantastic. I love that. The thought of that, a quiet Monday in London. Brilliant. Yeah. Just on the Fulham game, you made a good point. Well, Andre made a good point about MLS and the need for him to start. I think, just expanding on that, I think MLS is an important starter if we start Eze, because I think they both create different types of opportunities and gaps compared to what we've seen with, say, Rice and Odegaard. I think MLS offers an extra protection to Eze as well. So it allows Eze to roam freely as a 10, with just a little bit behind him to the left, having Lewis Skelly there. The most important thing for me, just knowing that Chris Kavanagh is the referee and knowing that he doesn't like to give fouls, I really think it's important for this game. We debated Mosquera and Rice. I actually think Rice needs to start for this game so he can overlap on the right and give a bit of a break to Saka, because I've got a feeling they're just going to be targeting him and they're going to foul him.
White or Rice?
Rice. I mean, Ben White. Benny Blanco needs to start.
Yeah. So you would play who?
I would play Ben White at right back, just so he can give a bit of extra support to Saka, because I do think they're going to be fouling him all game.
True. And then what I also really noticed that Gyökeres has improved his performance because there's more technical players around him. When he plays with the more runner players or Rice and Zubimendi, and even if Eze does help Gyökeres, but say it's Odegaard, Zubimendi, and Rice. They're more controllers of possession and not as technical in terms of attacking technicalities. They're good at pressing. So what I'm trying to say is that if we play MLS and Eze, then Gyökeres has to start.
Yeah.
And if you play Gyökeres, then it's better to play Saka and Trossard with him than Martinelli and Dubeke. So long story is that I would start Gyökeres and then bring Havertz on at 60 minutes, and then you bring on Martinelli and Noni if Saka is having because he's had this Achilles injury, because then Havertz has got runners to knock down because he wins the aerial duels, and then he can put in Noni and Martinelli against tired legs. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a technical ripple that happens through the team when our midfield is playing in a certain way. Then our forwards can play in a certain way. I don't know if I'm making sense. It's just
absolutely. Absolutely. When guys are moving around with the ball and creating more, it creates gaps that we normally wouldn't have. So it makes sense. I think when you're constantly trying to press and giving away possession and trying to play to one side, like we often do, then Gyökeres kind of disappears. And I think with MLS coming in and breaking up the midfield a little bit, it's creating nice little gaps. So I agree 100%. I think with someone like Eze who's going to take risks and make those passes that maybe Odegaard wouldn't make, then I think Gyökeres ends up with more opportunities. I've also noticed, I think if we start Calafiori on the left, then Mosquera is probably a good option on the right because Calafiori pushes up so much.
He drifts. Calafiori drifts all over the show.
All over the place. So then you've got Mosquera as this protection because obviously Gabriel will have to shadow and move to the left, and the whole defense has to shift across. Whereas if Nkapie starts, it's quite nice having Ben White for his overlapping runs, and I think that'll help Saka because I don't know what it is about Chris Cavana. Cavana. I don't know how we want to pronounce
Cavana
it.
sounds a bit more Spanish. Spanish is
it does.
Cavana is
Chris
more
Cavana. Yeah. No, it does. Yeah. No, you're right. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I'll be with you.
Worries. So going on that point that you were saying, Ryan, I think that Nkapie also works better with Martinelli, whereas I believe Calafiori works better with Trossard. Because Trossard, I don't know, I just get that sense, the way that they've played together. And then Mosquera, I agree, would be better if we play a Calafiori. So I'm in full agreement there. So if it's Nkapie, then I'd play White. So that's why all of these, people just think of who's the best player over the season and then think those players must play every game. But even with Gyökeres, as you know, I'm not the hugest Gyökeres fan, but I've seen him be much better in the Champions League and much better against high lines in the Premier League than against low blocks and mid blocks. So, absolutely. And now much better when he's got more technical players around him. So I'm actually not even stressed about Gyökeres in the West Ham game because normally West Ham play a middle or low block. I wouldn't start a Gyökeres, I'd start a Havertz. But now I would say that I'm not stressed. Spusiso, what are you saying? Talk to him about what, bro? I know that's one of your favorites. It's your favorite saying. So what are you saying? Talk to them about. I'm not following, bro. Give us enlightenment around. Are you saying talk to them about people want their best or their favorite players to play, or the player that is the most technical and not the team composition versus the tactical team that we're playing? So Ash has just said Gyökeres is a weird player for me. So elaborate on that. What do you feel are his strengths, Ash, and what do you feel are his weaknesses? I mean, I think one of his strengths is definitely he's a runner, and his conversion rate is very high. So the amount of shots that he's had, the amount of goals that he's scored is very high. His weaknesses is aerial for me. He's not aerially strong, even though he scored against Fulham with an aerial a header. So there's two aspects of being an aerial player. There's a threat in the box for set pieces and for crosses. And then there's the aerial duels from Raya and Saliba and Gabriel's long balls. Where Havertz is much better is that he's more aerially strong in the box and outside of the box, winning aerial duels. So that's where I would still like. If we had a Champions League final tomorrow, I'd play Havertz as a starter. But then if we're playing more technical players around Gyökeres, I'd play Gyökeres because his conversion rate is better than Havertz, because Havertz can't score from a lot of his chances. He has a low conversion rate from his chances. I don't know if I'm making sense, Ryan. What's your thoughts
No,
on?
you're making absolute sense. I think Havertz actually has more to his game. I think he's got a lot of different strengths. He can score on the counter. He can score headers. He can score weird little tap-ins. He gets the odd assist. I think Gyökeres can be a bit one-dimensional, and you have to adapt to his game rather than him adapting to your game. So if we're playing a team that's playing a mid or low block, I think Havertz can still perform. Whereas I think Gyökeres, we saw as soon as Atletico needed to try and attack us a little bit and gaps opened up, he was on fire. And as soon as we were kicking the ball upfield and giving him a chance to chase onto it, then he was brilliant. And he will do well in that environment. So it's exciting to see his future and how it pans out if we can find a way to unlock him. But I do think when the pressure's on and the team's struggling, Havertz does a better job of creating something than Gyökeres does. I just think with Havertz on the field, there's a chance that he might score a crazy, weird goal that comes out of nowhere. And that's why I'd start him in the final as well. And I suppose because he's scored in a final. Yeah.
True. That's actually true. I mean, he scored against City. And then going back to Havertz and Gyökeres, the only thing that's in Gyökeres' favor against Havertz is Gyökeres is more fit, whereas Havertz has had injuries since December or Jan 2025. So the last 18 months, Havertz has been more injury prone. And the other thing is Havertz is on higher wages. So those are the things that I would say weigh against Havertz. I wouldn't sell Havertz or Gyökeres, but I'd say if we bring in a player like an Alvarez, I would say to him, I would say to a player like Alvarez, you're going to play left wing and false nine / center forward. So as in rotate across those positions with and he's more technical. So then I would sell a Trossard. If we got an Alvarez player, I'd sell a Trossard. If we get a Kvaratskhelia player at left wing, I'd sell Martinelli because he needs to raise the fund. So that's where, once again, even if Kvaratskhelia is better than Alvarez, I would sell Martinelli and keep an old Trossard, even though Trossard is older. So most people think you keep the younger player and you sell the older player. I would keep the profile because Trossard's profile is different to Kvaratskhelia, whereas Martinelli is more similar to Kvaratskhelia. So I think that's the way you build a world-class squad, is you have different profiles in your team. Calafiori is different to Hincapie. Mosquera is different from Ben White and Timber. Mosquera is even different from Saliba. Saliba is more pressure resistant, whereas Mosquera is more of a strong tackler and very physical. So I'd say Mosquera is even very similar to Gabriel in his physicality.
Yeah, there's an intensity about his game. His timing in tackles is astonishingly good, but he's far more aggressive than Saliba. You're right. Yeah, Saliba's very good at.
He's not as technical as Saliba on the ball.
Yes, absolutely. But very few centre backs are as technical as Saliba. It's actually incredible what he can do. We watched that video recently of the little feints that he does. Yeah, you don't even see that. Wow. Yeah, no, he's a very, very skilled player. Jeez.
If you had to rate, I know that I did this on the groups, and it's an interesting discussion point that I'll put in the comments as well. Which would you say are Arsenal's world-class players? The players that you would say would walk into any team around the world, or the top three? That's my kind of way of looking at world-class, is your top three players in our current team. Which ones would you rate as our world-class players?
I would rate Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, and Rice.
Mine is exact same.
Nice.
It used to be Saka for me when in 2023, 24, and 24, 25, before he got injured. Saka was also world-class, and then his injuries have definitely just dropped him, I'd say, to elite. But he's now doing so well in the last few games that if he performs like this for the next 6 months, I'd put him back in world class. So
Absolutely. He'll get back up there soon, I'm sure. Yeah. He was slowed down by the Achilles injury, but it was clear that his form had dropped before he actually got officially injured. So yeah, but he'll get back up there. He definitely will. It's amazing how, we watch Noni, and he's so quick and he's got such incredible skill. His output is just not there. He makes the wrong decisions sometimes at the death. But you look at all the work he puts in, and then you see Saka come in, quick feint, cut to the left, goal. That's how easy it is. It's incredible how good he is at doing that. That's what you need. It's just he's like nailed it. He knows where the goal is, and he knows how to get the ball there. It's and that to me is world class level. So he'll get there. He'll get back up there for sure.
So Zubimendi has now been touted by Ash as world class. I would rate him as like elite / very good. I think in the beginning of the season he was elite, and I would rate him as now very good. I have kind of a 5 or 6 tiers in which I rate football players. I do think he has the potential to be world class, but I wouldn't say yet. I think because maybe in his second season he could push to be world class. But I hear where you're coming from, Ash, but I think he's dropped off a bit since Feb, which would kind of like negate that argument for him being world class. And now with a teenager replacing him in Miles Lewis-Skelly, it doesn't kind of like with world class players, they like Saliba, Gabriel Raya, they don't leave the team very easily. Rice, Timber also. If Timber's fit, he's always going to be one of the. These players are the first 5 names on the team sheet. And there's no debate. Like if there's a Champions League final or the last game of the season, or a cup final, like say the League Cup, you would play Timber, you would play Rice. I mean, Rice is like in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or because he's so good. That shows how world class he is. And our players are finally getting their flowers. Like, I think it's very exciting. Even Saka, like, I don't know if you've seen the stats. In the Champions League, he's scored more goals in knockout games than Hazard.
That's incredible. I love that. That's fantastic. I'm going to phone my Chelsea mate of mine who supports Chelsea after this, and I'm going to tell him that stat, that fact. That's brilliant.
Tell him that, and tell him to watch. There's a podcast that The Athletic have done on the state of Chelsea. It absolutely shows that club is about to implode. Like they're about to. They even ask on the title of the podcast, "Is Chelsea a top 6 side anymore?" Which is scandalous to say because Spurs are in the relegation fight. And I think the top 6 is dying and it's slowly becoming the top 8 or the top 4 again. So it's either going back to City, Liverpool, United, and Arsenal being the top 4, as in with now Chelsea being switched with City, or it's going to go to a top 8 with Newcastle and Villa being in the top 8 or top 6 in the last few seasons. So very interesting things are happening and shifting in the Premier League in totality.
It's true. I mean, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, they're doing well. They really are competing at the moment. Actually, there was a stage where I thought Palace and Fulham were going to be sneaking up there as well. So I agree that the traditional big 6 is kind of dying. And Chelsea is a mess, but you could see the direction it was going. That friend I was talking about he's quite an honest Chelsea fan, and he's concerned. He was saying, just recruitment, everything from directorship down to recruitment level is a shambles, and it's hard to watch. He said he doesn't actually see the light at the end of this weird dark tunnel that they're going through. So I think Chelsea's in trouble. I think the issue for Zubimendi as well is I think he walks into a lot of teams, but he doesn't look as good as he could because Rice is so good. Rice is just that good. So he makes everyone else look a bit.
That's a good point. And what do you think about this comment here about City and their games? Do you think they're going to win their 4 remaining games? I have a feeling they could drop points against Bournemouth. I think they're going to beat Brentford, but I think Bournemouth and Palace, because Palace, are going to actually be an easy game for us because I don't know if you saw the Conference League final is on the 27th and we play Palace on the 24th, which is the last game of the season. So I think we're going to walk that game, like as in get 2 or 3, maybe 4 goals. But I do think that they still have to. They're still not fully clear of the relegation zone. I think they're going to play hard against City, even if they just tire them out. But I do think Bournemouth could get something. I think the only thing that's made me worried is this Jimenez story with him being investigated now for this underage thing, is that cloud might affect Bournemouth's progress, and with Iriola also leaving. But then psychologically, they could say we want to get into Europe for Iriola because he is leaving. Oh, Spusiso said Rodri's not playing today. I didn't know that. So he thinks City are going to drop points today again. Obviously, they dropped points against Everton, and who played so well. And we thank Moyes, our Malume Moyes, our Uncle Moyes. He did a good job for Arteta. And then Spusiso said something else in the comments here, which I'm going to show, which is going to trigger some rival fans if rival fans are watching now. So let me quickly have some fun and trigger them too. Interesting comment. We have other world-class players who are not on form currently, by the ones you have mentioned. With everyone on form, we could be invincible again. I love it, Spusiso. I love it. But I mean, we're ready. If we win the Champions League, then we're invincible in the Champions League, which is also going to trigger rivals. Like, if we win a double and go invincible in the Champions League, imagine the way the rivals will get triggered. The internet will break.
Oh, I won't stop talking. Oh, my word, it would be wonderful. Oh, please make it happen. And Spurs get relegated. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, but that would be a bonus. That would be fantastic.
It would be insane. Like Chelsea coming ninth, Spurs getting relegated, and us winning the Champions League or the Premier League would be like perfect. London is definitely red. I mean, I say London is red anyway because we've won 49 trophies compared to Chelsea's 36 and Spurs' 28. So I always tell my Chelsea and Spurs fans that London is red. Even when they won the Europa and Chelsea won the Champions League, I'm like, London is still red. And they get so upset. But I look long-term, they look short-term, and they like, anyway, that's another whole discussion. We are getting sidetracked. So let's just look at the last few games for us. Now, we spoke about City. Let me present our games. So I'm just going to share my screen so that we can preview them. Okay, can you see Atletico Madrid and Arsenal there, Ryan?
It's loading. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, and then I'm going to go back and now look at can you see West Ham, Burnley, Crystal Palace, and PSG?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, West Ham. We've spoken a bit about West Ham, and then Burnley, we got at home. I think we're really going to smash Burnley. It's on a Monday night. We've had a bit of extra rest. We've had 1 day extra rest. I think we are going to win by at least 3 goals, and that's going to be a real confidence booster. I think today's game is going to be an absolute slog, like a 1-0, 1-0, maybe 2-1 win. I do think we'll win today because of the high of the Champions League final. But I do think it's going to be an extremely difficult and stressful game. And I think we've tired of these stressful games for Arsenal, but unfortunately it is what it is. Can you still see the screen?
I can, yeah. And I agree. I think West Ham's going to be our toughest game, obviously aside from PSG. But I think West Ham is the one we have to get over the line. And then I think smooth sailing from there. It's going to be tough. As I mentioned, the ref, what Nuno's done, it's a resilient West Ham team. So we're going to have to fight. And we're going to have to really get our decisions make the right decisions early on. I think an early goal could change everything, obviously, but I think they're going to make it difficult. Yeah. Burnley, it'll be a fun game to watch. Palace, what's great about this is that we don't actually leave London. So West Ham, London Stadium, then we'll be at home, and then we go to Selhurst Park. So we're not leaving London, which is a bonus for us. Takes away some of the travel stress. Yeah. I think we've got this. I really do. It just all comes down to tomorrow.
Yes. So, then would you say we'll probably finish the season on 85 points if we win our remaining games? Games. Which is interesting
I think
because we could potentially win the league on the same points that we didn't win the league in 22, 23, and then and lower than the points that we got in 23, 24, which was 89. So it's interesting because it just shows how competitive the Premier League has been. And that's another discussion point I want to bring up. Like, Palace are in the Conference League final, Villa are in the Europa League final, we're in the Champions League final, and people want to tell us that this league is not a competitive league is nonsense. It's absolute rival, bitterness, and jealousy.
It's the weakest Premier League in years, and yet we are hammering everyone in Europe. Yeah, it's terrible. It's funny because we look at, everyone's been criticizing Arsenal for handball and ruining football and playing defensively and not scoring goals. If you consider we've scored the second most goals in the league, I think we scored the most, if not the second most goals in the Champions League group stage. I think there is evidence that the Premier League is a very difficult league to perform at a high level in terms of attack. I think it's become like the Serie A of old. So I don't think it's an Arsenal thing, it's a Premier League thing. Yeah.
It's very tactical, technical, and the defenses are the best defenses in the world. Everyone can defend from bottom to top. Even if teams ship 5 goals, the next game they could only concede 1 goal.
Yeah, no, sure. Even Lamine Yamal, when they Barcelona, I think, played Newcastle, he said, you get the ball and there's 2 players on you already. He said, I don't know how anyone scores in the Premier League. And that's one of the best attackers in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And then another thing about that whole narrative is that there's still a top 2 title race. There's a European race, and there's a relegation race, all happening simultaneously. So how can that all be happening if it's not one of the best Premier Leagues in memory? I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying that Arsenal are playing the best, but the actual quality of the league is some of the best that we've seen. Just because it's more defensive doesn't mean it's not as aesthetically pleasing as, when Hazard was running rings through defenses and Ronaldo was doing amazing things in the 2000s, and those were more fun for attacking enjoyment, and Henry and Bergkamp were dazzling in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Like, I understand people want to be entertained, but people are looking at it through very immature eyes if they say it's not one of the best Premier Leagues in terms of quality.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Yes, it is very tactical. The games have a different structure, and the intention is different to what it used to be. It used to be free-flowing and it was all about goals. But in terms of competitive football and in terms of skill sets on display, it's the best I think we've ever seen. Like, for example, I would love to see what other league teams could do away at Burnley. I mean, not Burnley, Bournemouth. I'd love to have seen Bournemouth in Europe just to see what they could do and how they could perform. Playing at Brighton's not the easiest thing in the world to do. They've got quality players at that team. It's a difficult time to support a football team because, yes, it's frustrating. But, oh, man, I tell you, I'm enjoying it thoroughly. And that Atletico second game was the perfect example of it. Absolute chess, just tactical genius on display. I loved it.
Yeah. Okay, I see our pod has been on for an hour and 32. So let's round off with a bit of preview stuff. I know we've done a lot of Premier League preview, and then there's the Champions League, and we spoke about it a bit earlier. What matchups in the Champions League final are you looking most forward to in terms of, Nuno Mendes is one of the best. He's the best left back in the world. Then you've got Vitinha, who's one of the best midfielders in the world. I'm looking into that midfield battle between Vitinha, Neves, and Fabian Ruiz versus, I think we're going to play. I think that's the question. Are we going to play Zubimendi and be more controlled, or are we going to play MLS and be more attacking and be more unpredictable? That's going to be huge. So that's one of the biggest ballsy calls that Arteta is going to have to make. Either ballsy just to stick with Zubimendi, but Zubimendi is now rested a bit and will be fresher, or ballsy because he chooses a 19-year-old to play in a Champions League final. So for me, I'm looking most forward to the midfield battle, and then I'm also looking forward to hopefully Timber being back, but it doesn't look good from what Arteta's been saying against Kvaratskhelia. And then I would rather play Mosquera versus Kvaratskhelia than White. So what's your thoughts on some of the battles against PSG?
Yeah, I agree. The one I'm most worried about is Kvaratskhelia, and I would also play Mosquera. Just seeing that run that he made against Bayern in the first few minutes was unbelievable. And it shows how dangerous he is. He was like gliding, and no one could get to him. He's deceptive, man. He's like a De Bruyne mixed with I don't know. He's got this incredible agility as well. It's fascinating to watch. So yeah, that's my biggest fear. I think the battle will be in the midfield. I would start Zubimendi just because I think he takes less risks defensively. I would be worried that Miles might fly into a tackle or make a mistake and pull someone and get a card. But it's marginal as well. Lewis Skelly's form is unbelievable, so I wouldn't be upset if we started him. I think Zubimendi does have composure, incredible composure, and yes, he's made a few mistakes, but I think a fit, happy, confident Zubimendi is a world-class player. I really do. The only question there is, does that mean Rice has to move into centre mid again? And do we want that? Do we want Rice as a 6? I think, do we start Eze and go on attack, or do we start Odegaard to press? Because do we want to slow down that PSG midfield? I think that's why Bayern would have been a lot easier, because we could have just said, park the bus a little bit, counter attack, get a few goals, win. PSG are good defensively and on attack, and they can control the game, and they can change from the first 45 minutes to the second 45 minutes. And it's going to be a very difficult game to read and predict and get right tactically. So I think it's going to be a battle. I really do. I like Hakimi. I personally don't think he's the best right back in the world. Everyone keeps saying that. I think Timber's a better player, especially defensively. I think Hakimi can create a lot of things, but I think if there was a player that would be vulnerable against us, I personally think it would be Hakimi. So I think we
injured for a bit.
Yeah, I think so. Who would?
I don't know if he's back. I think he might be back now, but he was injured for a lot of the season. Zaire Emery was playing right back for them.
Yes, he was. I assume he'll be back for the final. Well, he'll
probably be back for the final. And then I think we would want to target that side, because then you've got. But the problem is our left wing isn't that strong. So we've got Trossard and Martinelli. So I would even play Dayne left wing versus Hakimi. If Hakimi is playing, but he's not strong defensively, the last 20 or 30 minutes, put Dayne on left wing and see what he does.
Yeah. Would you try the Odegaard 10 as a left wing thing again?
That's also another option. I would play Odegaard 10 if Hakimi is fit and we play MLS. I would play Odegaard with MLS and Rice defensive mid, and then play Eze left wing, because then you actually get a lot of technical players around Gyökeres if Havertz is not fit. So once again, it's like there's so many moving pieces. Like, it's not purely like my favorite player is so-and-so, I want them to play. Like, Rice is my favorite player, but he can play center mid or defensive mid. Then Eze is our on-form attacker with Gyökeres. You've got to have both of them in the team. But if you want control with MLS, you play Odegaard, because he's going to press more than MLS, but he's more press resistant than Odegaard. So you have a dynamism there. And he's used to playing MLS when MLS was the inverting left back. So it's a very interesting one, where we have a team that is not predictable for the last 4 games of the season because of how versatile and strong our team is. And quickly going on these last 2 questions here, we've done head matchups. Who would you say is your top 3 UCL players for the season? And obviously it changes whoever wins the UCL. So obviously Kvaratskhelia and Dembele have been playing well, and Vitinha have been playing well from a PSG side. From Arsenal, I'd say it's Rice and Raya. But I would say I would give it, like, if we win the Champions League, I would say Raya deserves it because he has been absolutely phenomenal. 9 clean sheets in the Champions League. I know Rice has got more man of the match performances in the Champions League compared to Raya, but Raya he's world class. He's absolutely world class, and I would even there's an argument to be made that he's the best keeper in the world.
I agree 100%. I think the easy pick is someone like Donnarumma, just because of his reputation and his historical achievements. But I think Raya has actually been outstanding. I think I would say Raya and Rice have probably been our best player. Martinelli's been really good in the Champions League, actually.
Yeah. Even Madueke, I looked at the SofaScore and FOTMob rankings, and Martinelli and Madueke show up quite highly in the rankings in the Champions League. That's why, like, even though I'm not a big Nani fan I'm not a Nani fan in the Premier League, but in the Champions League, I love him. He's a runner. We've got more high lines that we face. He's exciting. So I'm not like anti-Nani. I'm just like, use him appropriately. The same with Martinelli. Like, I like him in the Champions League, but I don't like him in the Premier League. In the Premier League, he's very ineffectual.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So who else has played well in the Champions League in general? How's Olise been? I imagine he's done pretty well. I know he's done well in the Bundesliga. I'm not sure.
Kane has done very well as well, but I think you always tend to give the Champions League player, or they'll be in the team of the season like Kane and Olise, but I think the player of the season will generally go to the winning player, the winning team, and then Ballon d'Or. I mean, if we win the Champions League, then players like Rice and Raya jump into the top 5 and top 10. I mean, I would say Rice would jump into the top 3 and Raya would jump into the top 10. That would be my ranking if we win the Champions League.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, actually. I agree 100%. And on a side note, if we did, let's say we started Mosquera, right, against PSG, would you then put Calafiori at left back, or would you still keep Nkapie?
I would put Calafiori if they... I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. I haven't thought about it enough. I think also Calafiori depends on his performance in the next few games, because he can have amazing games and then kind of have average games. So I would look at his form. I'd look at his form, and I would also look at, I mean, I'm a physio, so I would think he's been injury prone. His whole career has actually been injury prone, so buying him was a big risk. So I would say that Nkapie is more long-term going to be our left back than Calafiori. But Calafiori, I could even see Calafiori being a midfielder for us, but he's also just too injury prone to be a midfielder. And I just don't.
He can really change a game. He really can. He's got an impact on attack and defense. Did he play centre back or left back at Bologna? I imagine it was centre back. I'm not sure. I know he played left back a bit for Italy.
He played left back for Basel, and then he played centre back, left centre back, but they had a back 3
at Bologna.
At Bologna, but he used to play they think they call it the register. It's a floating centre back. It's more like a midfielder.
Okay, so like Stones. Stones did that for City for a period.
Like a Stones type defender. So I don't understand the register enough. I need to speak to some of my Italian friends, but they can explain it a bit better, because obviously, the Ramdeuter is Havertz from a midfield / false 9 perspective. In Germany, they have that Ramdeuter, which is the person who kind of floats between us being a striker and a midfielder. So I understand that role better than the register. I must actually Google some videos on the register. But anyway, long story. Now going to the EPL. Final question before we close the pod. Who would you say is the EPL player of the season, and why is it not Bruno?
Whew, that's interesting. Oh, man. I don't even want to say it.
I want to trigger any United fans watching, because Bruno is definitely in the team of the season. I would say he's in the top 3 or 5 players in the Premier League, but the context is that he's only played going to play 40 games or less than 40 games, whereas Rice and Gabriel and the other players that you would shout for being the Premier League player of the season, even Raya.
Yeah, well, I mean, Raya's got the Golden Glove now for the third season in a row, so he's got that. I think Rice, if we win the league, I think Rice is the player of the season because of the impact he's had. We saw the one game where Rice was out, how badly we played and how different the whole system looked. He controls everything. And the thing with Rice is he offers on attack, but he also, every single week, he's got defensive contributions in. And he's a box-to-box player. He does a lot. I think he's got better leadership skills than Bruno Fernandes. United fans will hate me, but I don't think he's a good captain at all. I think he's a great player. I wouldn't have him as my captain if I had a football team. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Bruno, though, because, I mean, you've got to hand it to the guy. The assists are crazy, even though he's scoring and assisting through penalties and corners and free kicks and stuff. It still counts. What do you think? Gabriel, Gabriel, I mean, he's the best defender in the world.
I agree in terms of Bruno's, and I believe Bruno's world class. So I think, like, you know, and he would walk into our midfield. I'm not saying Bruno's not a good player. I just don't think, if you've used this argument that Rice and Saka's assists are debunked or bunk or not good enough for the last 3 seasons because they're from set pieces, you can't then gas up Bruno's set pieces. So they are actually being defeated by their own argument, because Bruno's only got 8 or 9 open play assists out of his 19. So it's like, just be consistent. I don't mind if Bruno is the player of the year, but then don't denigrate Saka and Rice's assists from the last 3 seasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree 100%. I think it's a narrative that they spin when it's convenient. So, but it would be fair if Bruno got the Player of the Season award. But I do think if Arsenal win the league, it has to be an Arsenal player because of how difficult this challenge has been. And I think Rice has had a bigger impact on this Arsenal team than any other player has on any team in the Premier League, bar maybe Rodri and Haaland. I think Rice has created this incredible force that we are seeing now. So I think there's
Ryan, is it this season that Rice actually played right back at one stage, or was it last season?
I think it was last season. Well, no, actually, was Thomas Partey playing right back last season? So maybe it's this season.
I think it was this season, because Partey was playing right back last season when we were short at right back. I think there was a time when Timber and White were both injured and Rice had to play right back one game. I know Norgard played one game at right back, or centre back, and then we shifted Mosquera to right back. But I think Rice did end one game at right back.
I think it's incredible, because if you look at Rodri, right, he's a holding midfielder and he plays that role really well, and he's really good. He's got incredible vision and he's good on defense. But he's not taking free kicks and corners and running up and down the field like Rice is. He's not playing right back and centre defensive midfielder and centre mid. It's astonishing what Rice does. He's a utility player like I don't think we've ever seen. I don't think it's like he's got that like Vieira thing where he can play on attack and defense equally well. It's crazy. Rice is the best player in the Premier League this year. I think he has to be. Yeah.
Good way to end the pod. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember let's go to this comment here. Where is this comment? Just as we end the pod, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that when we have our next pod, I think we'll probably do like either a breakdown after the 24th, what happened in the Premier League, and a preview for the Champions League, or we'll do a preview for the final day of the Premier League it's on the Sunday. We could do it on the Friday or the Saturday. So we might do a pod on the 23rd or 22nd, which will be quite fun. So we'll hopefully get more people join. But thanks, Ryan, for joining us. Everybody, thanks for coming in, locking in with your viewership and your comments. We appreciate it. This is Signing out as Mzansi Gunner Podcast from South Africa. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Cheers. See you soon. Thanks, Dayne. Cheers, man.